Hey YouTube, welcome to my channel. My name's Cassie. I talk about video games, do video game reviews, unboxings, and all sorts of other video game related topics. Today I want to talk about my games completed for 2023, part 1 of 2, and I'm splitting this because I played through 46 games last year and I don't want to take up like so much time talking about 46 games, so I'm splitting it into 2 parts. 23 this week, 23 next week. And yeah, a lot of the games were indie titles. Some of them were Game Pass, some of them were not. There's a lot of different genres and stuff that I've played through, and it's kind of a variety of things. I also want to talk about Game Club. Game Club I always talk about pretty much every single episode that I do because Game Club is our Game of the Month club on Facebook, and we play different games together every month and find a whole bunch of new games that maybe like some of us didn't know about. So figured I'd give some information on that, talk about what I'm playing, what I beat like this past week, and yeah, that'll be this video. So if you want to stay tuned to that, just hang in there because, yeah, I ramble on a lot, so be aware. First game that I completed last year was Beacon Pines. This is a game that I completed on Game Pass. I think it's still there, maybe. But it's about this deer, this little young deer named Luca, and he lives in this town called Beacon Pines, and there's a lot of like weird things going on. People go missing, and he's trying to kind of investigate with his friends and kind of get into mischief a little bit. And they have this tree house where they kind of like talk about things, but it's a narrative adventure game. So most narrative games or like RPGs, they have like dialogue options for you to choose from to kind of like direct your path, but this one instead you collect words through the town, and these words can fill in the blanks when you're doing a response. So there'll be like a whole like paragraph of things, and then you can like there's certain places that have a blank, and you just depending on what word you choose to put in those blanks takes you to a different path. There's all sorts of different endings. Like it's a huge tree with like different branches and stuff, different directions you can take, different endings, different story paths and stuff. But there's only one true ending. All the other endings end with you dying. So every time you die, like it comes back to the beginning, but you still have those words and you can place them in different places to try and like get to the end, which sounds like, oh, it'd be like super repetitive, but each time you play through, there's really like a lot of different things that happen. So it's really not boring at all. It's well worth playing through. It's really cute. The graphics are very pretty. And the soundtrack's really good as well. And it's really interesting. There's not really any other games that are like it, so I definitely would suggest it. The next game was Road 96 on Game Pass, and it's not on there anymore, but it's on other platforms, and I don't think it's that expensive. But this game you play as a group of different teenagers. It's in a post-apocalyptic world where the government has taken over, and the United States is kind of in shambles. A lot of people like struggling to survive and get food and like all sorts of things. So everybody's trying to get out of there, and before the next election, I guess this really bad guy is getting elected, and they're trying to escape the country and go into Canada where everybody's still, free and everything. So you play as a variety of different characters, and they all like at some point kind of like cross paths. It's really interesting. It's a narrative adventure game, but there's also a lot of like action bits to it. Like there's mini games and stuff where you have to like serve some customers in this like bar that you come across to get extra money, so you can keep traveling. You can call like a taxi and stuff, or you can hitchhike, or there's all sorts of different paths and different ways, and I think there's different endings as well. It's really interesting. Number 3 was Pokemon Legends Arceus. This is a lot different than the typical Pokemon game. This one, you're actually collecting data and you're researching Pokemon to kind of fill in the Pokédex. This takes place like at least like 100 years before any of the Pokemon games does, I think. But yeah, it's different, and I really liked it at first, but it started to drag on quite a bit, and I think there's some things that they could like adjust for the next Pokemon Legends game, because I'm sure they'll do another one in a different area or something. Yeah, but I enjoyed it, but I also like towards the end or towards like the halfway point, because it is a long game, got kind of bored. Yeah, but I finished it anyway. The next game was my favorite game of last year that I played. I mean, now this wasn't a 2023 game, it was a 2022, but it was my favorite that I had played last year, and it's also my favorite 2022 game. But that was Vampire Survivors. I'm really finding that I really like roguelites a lot. I've played Hades, I've played Vampire Survivors, Moonlighter, Children of Morta, and like quite a few others. There's a lot that I need to play. There's a lot I haven't played Dead Cells or like any of those, and I really need to, because Flame in the Flood too. I think Flame in the Flood's more like a roguelike, though there's a difference between light and like. But yeah, it's just so cool. I really enjoy these types of games. It's such a joy to play, because it's just so satisfying. Every time you die, you get better. There's stuff that carries over when you die, and it kind of makes you stronger, and like you get like different abilities and stuff. And every time you play the game, like all of the drops are random. So like all the weapons, the abilities, and everything are random when they drop. Vampire Survivors, you play as different characters, and each one has like special skills and stuff that the others don't. They'll start off with a different weapon or something, because you start off with one weapon, but then the others are just randomly dropped. So you kind of have to like say like, yeah, I want this one with this one, because different weapons and abilities kind of like, some of them do extra things if you have both of them together. And it's just, you have to survive for 30 minutes each round. And these games are really hard at first, but as you get stronger, you're really like blowing through it, and you're like mowing down like these hordes and hordes of enemies. It's so satisfying. I really highly suggest Vampire Survivors. I think it's still on Game Pass. I could be wrong, but it's definitely worth checking out. And it's on mobile and like all other platforms. So the next one was a Game Club game called Kentucky Route Zero. This one I would not suggest. Sadly, it is an Annapurna game, which I really like Annapurna typically, but it was just really slow. It's a narrative adventure game, and the story is really interesting, but the gameplay itself just sucks. It's such a drag to get through. The character sometimes has a limp. Actually, for a large majority of the game, he has a limp, and so even though the game is already slow, walking with a really, really slow character just makes it worse. It's like he's a delivery driver in this post-apocalyptic world, and I'm not really sure what he's trying to do, like try to get to the other side. I can't remember exactly what was going on. The story was kind of confusing. It was interesting, but it was confusing. And I don't know. You might like it. It's just a really, really slow burn, so just be aware of that. The next game was Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. This one is a highly underrated game. I really enjoyed this a lot. I love Guardians of the Galaxy, although I have not like read any of the comics or anything. I love the movies, and I did play the Telltale game quite a long time ago. This one doesn't follow the movies, it follows the comics. So they look more, they look closer to like their comic book characters. And they're not voiced by like Chris Pratt or anything. So, yeah. So, you've got all the characters in one. You've got new characters that come along, new bosses and stuff that were not like in the movies at all. And it's just, the music's so enjoyable, which I mean every Guardians of the Galaxy thing is, but I really enjoyed the soundtrack to this. The visuals were really good. The gameplay was really solid. You actually, like, as you're playing, you can switch between different characters with different abilities and stuff. The banter between the characters as you're like walking through like an area is really fun. It's an action adventure game, so yeah, definitely check out Guardians of the Galaxy. I strongly suggest this. It's no longer on Game Pass, but it is on PS Plus. So, number 7 was A Short Hike. A lot of people really like this game, but I wasn't too fond of it, to be honest. I did play it on the Switch, and it was in handheld mode, which may be part of it. I don't typically like playing games in handheld mode. I don't know if it's like the screen size or something. I don't enjoy it. Yeah, but it's just, it was cute, but I did not like the art style at all, and the gameplay was just kind of dull to me. So it's just like this little bird, and he's trying to get up to like the top of the mountain. I guess kind of like a coming of age story, but for a bird. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about it, but a lot of people rave about it, so maybe try it out. It's on Game Pass now, so try it out and see for yourself, because my opinion is not popular. So number 8 was Game Club Game. This was our game of the month for March, I think. It was Medieval, and I decided to play the remake, the version that came out in like 2021, I think. Because it was on PS Plus, and I just honestly, like, I was like, I don't know if I like this game, but I decided I'd try it anyway because it was Game Club, and I run that group, and kind of looks bad if I don't participate, you know. But it's on PS Plus, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. You know, I don't have to pay for it, so whatever. Oh my gosh, this game is so fun. It's so cool. I love the main character. He's so funny. I mean, he doesn't talk. He's just, you know, he's this skeleton that doesn't have his bottom jaw, but oh, it's so much fun, and it's like a great like Halloween game, you know, because there's all these like horror games and stuff, but like there's not a lot of like Halloween games, and Medieval is like a perfect Halloween game, I think. Yeah, definitely check it out. A lot of people had issues with like the difficulty. It did spike, but I got through it, and yeah, it's really fun. Next game is also really fun. The next few games are actually really fun. Number 9 is HiFi Rush. This was a shadow drop on Xbox. They announced it, and day one it released, and I think I downloaded it day one, but I did not, because it came out in February, but I have it written down as April is when I completed it. I think I was just trying to push out these other games first. Guardians of the Galaxy, I only had a few days before it left Game Pass, and I wanted to get through it, so that's why I did that. And then, of course, I wanted to participate with Game Club as well, so... And I didn't have as much time. I was kind of busy during that time, so... Yeah. Yeah, HiFi Rush is such a fantastic game. It's got, like, all the colors, like, the music, the soundtrack is great. The entire world kind of, like, acts as, like, a metronome. So you've got, like, the trash cans, the signs, the bushes, the trees, everything's bouncing along to the beat along with you. And it's just so satisfying and such a joy to play. And it's so light, too. Like, the characters are really fun. Some of them kind of remind me of, like, Scott Pilgrim, the way, like, you play, like, through the, like, get through the bosses and stuff. And there's a lot of kind of, like, comic book like art style that kind of like pops up in the corners or scores at the end. Some people say it's a lot like Jet Set in ways. I have never played Jet Set, so I couldn't tell you. But yeah, and it's just, you don't have to be good at rhythm games to play it. It does have accessibility options to where you can like turn it off if you want to play through it. So definitely check that out. It's my third favorite game from 2023. It's kind of like on par with number 2. They're kind of tied, but yeah, I definitely highly suggest HiFi Rush. It's such a great game, and it really, like, the art style, the cinematics, like, it should be like 100% should be like a full anime, and they should do that, and I hope they make a sequel because it's great. Now I'm into rhythm games, so I know a lot of people aren't, but still give it a try. It's on Game Pass. It will forever be on Game Pass, probably, because it's an Xbox exclusive. Number 10, Rainbow Billy, The Curse of the Leviathan. This was also a Game Club game. It had actually been on my radar for a while. I don't remember who voted for it, but I really enjoyed this game a lot. This is actually my first Xbox 100% achievement game, which is crazy to me because I've got so many on PlayStation, but for some reason did not have any on Xbox at all. But this is kind of like a platformer, not really a platformer, but like an RPG collectathon. And you play as Billy, this little kid, and they're trying to bring back color to the world. The Leviathan took all the color away, so everything's in black and white, and you must kind of like go through and defeat these little characters and stuff. You're trying to bring back color to them, but it's a turn-based battle when you go up against them. And then once you defeat them, you basically kind of like talk them through things, and you're trying to make them feel better about themselves and try to give them advice. So it's got a lot of really good messages about how to treat others and how to be a good person. And some of it kind of reminds me of Rainbow Bright because you're trying to bring color back to the world. So like the Leviathan's kind of like murky, dismal, I don't know, but yeah. Yeah, it's just a really cute game. I really enjoy it a lot, so definitely check that one out. I think it's still on Game Pass, but it's on other platforms too, so check it out. The next one is Tinykin. This one I also 100% on Xbox, so I did like 3 last year, and like I've never done it before, so yeah, yay Game Pass. Tinykin I really enjoyed a lot. It's kind of a play on Pikmin, but it's different because it's not exactly like a strategy game. It's more like a collectathon platformer where you're playing as this like really small human that I think all the humans have been shrunk, and you kind of like crash land on this planet, which ends up being like a house. And so like all the different areas, like there's a kitchen, there's a bathroom and everything, but it's like an oversized world, so kind of like Toy Story or whatever. And you're trying to platform through the area and trying to get your parts back to repair your ship and leave. So it does like take some parts from Pikmin, and you've got like these Tinykin, and they have different abilities with different colors and stuff. But it's a lot more like a platformer as well, because you're actually like jumping through the area and trying to get to the top and like collecting things. It's a collectathon, like a typical 3D platformer, and it's just so fun. It's so fun. The story is like whatever. It's not the best thing in the world, but the soundtrack's great and the gameplay is great, and it's just really fun game to play, so definitely check it out. The next one was Hogwarts Legacy. Now, I've been a Harry Potter fan since like from the beginning. Harry Potter ironically came out when I was 11 years old, and I've been a fan since. And I know there's a lot of controversy about it, but like I really liked Hogwarts Legacy a lot. I think even like despite everything, like it's a fun game to play, and they really took a lot of time like with researching the lore and like the world of Harry Potter. This takes place like over like it's about 100 years before the events of Harry Potter, and it's so good. There's things it could have done better. Like it could have done better a little bit on the story and like some of the character interactions, and some of the side quests got a little repetitive. But honestly, for an open world game, it kept me hooked. It kept me hooked a lot longer than some of the other AAA's did. And this was my second favorite game of last year. I really, really enjoyed it. My second favorite from 2023 anyway. So yeah, like definitely check it out. If you're into Harry Potter, even like there's some people that really liked it that don't like Harry Potter. So just yeah, I don't know. You know, buy it used or whatever, like makes you feel better. But like yeah, like I liked it. And flying on your broom. Sorry, I got something in my eye. I don't know what happened here. Sorry about that. But yeah, I really liked it. Number 13, Coffee Talk, Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly. I played through the first one quite a while back ago, and it's like a visual novel, but you're also running like a coffee shop, and you've got all these characters. They're kind of like fairy tale characters that come in. You're in Seattle, downtown Seattle, and the characters come in, and they're all sorts of different types. You know, you've got kind of like, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of like The Wolf Among Us, but in a way, like with all the fairy tale characters. But they come in and they talk about their day to day, and you're kind of like just a good listener to them and listening about their stories and their personal lives and stuff, and making friendships with them and stuff. But you're also making tea and coffee for them, and you kind of have to pay attention to what it is that they want specifically, and you kind of gather recipes and stuff. And it's kind of like a coffee tea making simulator, but mixed with a visual novel, and it's fun. I like it. I liked the first episode more, but yeah, it's only like 4 or 5 hours long, so yeah, definitely check it out. The next game was Ravenlock. This was on Game Pass, and this is a day one Game Pass game. It came out last year. And it's kind of like Alice in Wonderland, and it's got like this weird, kind of weird visuals to it. But you're this girl, and your parents move you to like this house in the middle of nowhere, and there's this barn that that's like right next to the house that has like a portal to like this Alice in Wonderland world, basically. And you're trying to defeat the evil queen and like clean up the mess that she's made, which sounds really interesting, and the graphics look interesting, but it's not. It's an okay game. Like, I wouldn't say it's bad, but it's not necessarily good. So, but it's still on Game Pass, so try it out if you want to. It's not like Alice Madness or anything, because that's great. But next game was an Xbox Games with Gold game. I've got a few of them on here that released before that went away. This one is Hoa. This one had kind of like a Studio Ghibli style to it, like an art style to it. It's really pretty, but it's like a 2D platformer, and you're trying to get through this area, and you're like a small little creature, and it's like all these like bugs and different things, but really kind of hard to explain what exactly it was. But the visuals are it's beautiful, and the platforming is pretty simple, but it's really fun. And then once you get towards the end, the gameplay kind of switches. And I mean, it's still a 2D platformer, but it's inverted. And then it like kind of like tilts and like becomes like right side up, and then it goes upside down, and you're platforming upside down. And it's just like crazy. You're platforming mirrored as well. So like the direction you're pointing to is not exactly the direction you're going to go. You're going to go the opposite. It's just like, it's crazy what it does at the end, and I just thought it was a really, really good game. and I would highly suggest this game. I think it was originally a 360 game, but I think it's also on Switch as well. It's not on Game Pass or anything, but definitely check it out if you have a chance to. Number 16 was Superliminal. This is a really great game too. This was on Game Pass. I think it still is. It's on PS Plus now. It may not be on... Well, I don't know if it left or not. I don't know. But it's definitely on PS Plus now. But this is a kind of like manipulate your environment to make objects look bigger, which kind of makes them physically bigger, but they're really not. It's all by perspective. And you can kind of move those objects around to kind of like get through the areas, and like it's just really different, and it's really cool. I liked it a lot. Definitely check that one out. Next one is 17, Citizen Sleeper. This is also a very different game. It's on Game Pass. They've also got a sequel coming out this year. That'll be a day one Game Pass game. This is kind of like a cyberpunk-ish game where you are this kind of like half android, half human. Kind of like Blade Runner in a way, but like you wake up on this ship and you have no idea like how you got there, what your past is. You don't know who you are, and you're trying to figure things out and trying to get off the ship. And you've got people that are after you and stuff, but it's a visual novel. But at the same time, like every day that you wake up, for your kind of like your decision making to get through the game, everything's decided by a roll of the dice. So when you wake up, you roll like 2 to 3 die. You do have to like go to sleep to regain energy and everything. You have to feed yourself. You have to take this like kind of like this medicine for you, since you are like half android, half human. Like you've got like, you have to like take this thing every day. Or not every day, but like every few days. So you have to make money. So you have like side jobs and stuff that you do on the ship. But everything's decided by like the roll of the die. So like obviously like 1 is the lowest and 6 is good. So the higher the number, the roll of the die, the better chance of you getting like a good outcome. So yeah, you use those die to do your activities throughout the day, but you're limited to, you know, how many die you have as well for a lot of things. So you kind of have to strategize your time on there. So it's very different because it's not exactly just a visual novel, but it also kind of has, I don't remember what kind of games they call those, like the kind of like D&D type games. It's got some of that aspect to it as well. So it's really cool. Definitely check it out. I'm a big Blade Runner fan, so like I like anything that's kind of like similar to that, which is why like Cyberpunk is on like the top of my list to play right now. Number 18 was Planet of Lana. This is kind of like similar to one of those like Play Dead games where it's like a 2D side scroller and you're trying to get through the area and there's puzzles and stuff. You have to move objects to get through the area. Sometimes you've got things that are like chasing after you. You have to hide and you have to like time your escapes just right and stuff. This is a lot more colorful. Obviously, Inside and Limbo are very like dark. And I guess you could say Little Nightmares is kind of like along these lines as well, but Little Nightmares is really creepy. Planet of Lana is very colorful, and it's a good game. I know a lot of people liked it more than I did. I really like Play Dead a lot, and I like the games that people from Play Dead previously from Play Dead have made on their own, you know, gone off to make their own developer teams and stuff, and they kind of branched off from Play Dead, but they've made good games too. Planet of Lana, I don't remember if it's from anybody previously from Play Dead or not, but I don't like it as much, and I think it's just, it doesn't really like do for me as much as what those did, as far as like the story, which a lot of those are up to interpretation because they don't really have like a straightforward story going. It's kind of like, you know, kind of figure this out for yourself sort of thing. But I don't know, like it didn't have as much of a challenge to it either, because some of those, I mean, Inside, I don't know, not Inside, but Limbo, I don't know how many times I died in that game. Oh gosh. Sometimes it was brutal. Yeah, it didn't do as much for me. It's just still a really good game and it's really pretty, and I know a lot of people really liked it, but visually it's really nice to look at, but yeah, it's okay. Number 19 was a game we previously played at Game Club, but I decided to play instead of another game because I think it was a game that I had already played, or I didn't have access to. I can't remember what it was. But yeah, so I decided to play one of our older games. I played Wolfenstein: The New Order. This is the first time I've played a Wolfenstein game. I didn't really know if I would like it or not. I used to play a lot of first-person shooters, third-person shooters, but I don't really play a lot of them anymore for some reason, and I don't know why. It's not that I don't like them, but I really enjoyed this game a lot, so I didn't know what I was going to think, but yeah, it was a really, really solid game. I didn't know what people were talking about as far as difficulty goes, because I was not having issues with it, and then I got to chapter 11, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is hard. It came out of nowhere, so I had to kind of lower the difficulty a little bit, but yeah, it's a very solid game. I know they're notorious for being like really, really hard games, but yeah. I definitely plan on playing the other ones at some point as well. Number 20 was another Xbox Games with Gold. I had played some of it previously because it was originally a 64 game. But Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, this was not a good game. It's just the levels were really kind of dull, which, I mean, the 64 had a really lot of really, really good racing games, I will say that. But this one was not it. I remember playing it like on demos and like Toys R Us and stuff, and I thought I remembered liking it back then, but it's just, I don't know, it does not hold up to today. There wasn't really much of a challenge playing against the computers at all. I just like kept winning and with little effort, I felt like, until I got towards the end of it, and then it started to get a little bit more difficult. But it's just, I don't know, it's not a great game. Number 21, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. This is a fantastic brawler, and I'm not even that much of a brawler fan, to be quite honest, and the animation style, the soundtrack, it just really like brings a lot of nostalgia, but it's also just very good anyway. So I mean, it made me into a brawler fan, and I'm not a brawler person, so yeah, definitely check out Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I'm not even that much of a Turtles fan. Like, I like Turtles, I like Ninja Turtles, but I just never really got into them as a kid. I think I tried to, and then my parents said no. I don't know why, but yeah, I don't know. So yeah, check that out. That's one of the better games from the past few years, I think. It was really, really fun to play through. Number 22 was another Xbox Games with Gold game. This is Adios. I don't really have too much to say about this. It was this narrative adventure game about this like pig farmer who's gotten into some trouble and stuff, and after his wife has died, and he's trying to, I don't know, trying to like kind of like find himself or whatever, and it does not really have the best ending. It was kind of messed up, honestly. I wouldn't say it's a bad game. It was decent, but it's not very memorable, I guess. And then number 23, the last one for this episode, is Kirbys Adventure. I played this on Switch NES Online. I played this when I was in a hotel somewhere. I don't remember. But yeah, I had a good time with this game quite a bit. I need to play more of like the older school games. I do want to make an effort to play like through Mario and stuff, because I've never I've never completed a Mario game. And yeah, I just really enjoyed that game a lot. It's not my absolute favorite, but like for like some of the older games, like I started with 64, so you know, like I didn't really play a lot of NES or Super Nintendo except for when I went over to friends' houses, because I didn't get a console until I was 11, so I started a little bit late, I guess, compared to everybody else. So yeah, yeah, I liked Kirby. Now for Game Club, it's a new year, it's a new month, so we are playing Signalis for January. This one is a kind of an isometric horror game, survival horror, kind of like Resident Evil, kind of like the older ones, I guess, in ways, but it's also very different. Supposedly, I have not started it yet, but I plan on to. I'm going to start it today. And then our game of the quarter is Tales of Zestiria. I started playing it, and I'm not a big fan of the gameplay, but I haven't really played much of the Tales games except for like a little bit of Symphonia back in the day. But like, yeah, we'll see. I'll continue on. I'm taking a break for now, because we've got 3 months to play it, and Persona 3 Reload's about to come out, so in a little bit. So yeah. Other than that, what I'm playing this week, I'm playing Signalis. I'm starting that today. I'm playing Dave the Diver. I'm on Chapter 3, and I'm really liking it a lot. Chia, I have not started it yet, but I've heard a lot of really good things. I've actually been looking at it since, I think I was like reading up on it in 2021 in Game Informer. But yeah, I really like it. And then Valiant Hearts, The Great War. This is a really good puzzle game based in the 1910s during World War One. And it's got a lot of history to it, and it's very interesting, and the visuals are really good. I definitely, if you're into history and you like puzzle games, definitely check that one out. I just beat Alan Wake a few days ago. Really liked that game a lot, actually, even though it was like frustrating at some points, because you had a lot of enemies at once, and you have to kind of like aim your flashlight at them for them to be God, work with your words, vulnerable. You have to like use the flashlight, and you have to like kind of like hover it over them for a good little bit for them to actually to be able to actually shoot them and take them down. So sometimes it's frustrating when you've got hordes of them, because it takes some effort. But yeah, it's a really fun game. There are a lot of like really fun moments to it. Alan Wake is not a likable character. He's kind of an asshole. But I like his best friend Barry. His best friend Barry's hilarious. I also just beat Lake Season's Greetings. This is the DLC to Lake. It's a prequel. It takes place a year before the events of Lake, and you play as Meredith's father instead, and he is just delivering mail. It's just like you typically are delivering mail, but it's during the winter time, so it's really pretty because the snow and everything and all the Christmas lights and stuff. It was not very long, and I don't like it as much as Lake, but the visuals were better and it played better. It didn't have as many glitches, so yeah. That's really all I've got for this episode. I might start doing them 2 times a week instead of 1, but I don't know yet. Yeah, anyway, thank you for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe if you like this video, and I will see you guys next time.